Hi Senseonics investors, welcome back to Father and Son Investing. It's 4:14 in the morning. I got off work a little while ago, making this video before I hit the sack here, but I want to talk about what I'm looking for out of the Senseonics earnings call later this afternoon at 4:30 Eastern Time. So there are a number of things that I'm going to be looking for. If they're not reported in the prepared statement, I'm hoping that some of the questioners who will get to call in for the question and answer period will be able to see my questions that I'm interested in and perhaps ask them. The first thing that I'm interested in is how many providers are now trained to insert this device, and of those trained providers, how many of them are actually inserting the device? How many have inserted at least one? Back in June, they had an opportunity to go to the American Diabetes Association meeting in New Orleans and really make themselves known to the diabetic provider community. I'm curious to know whether that meeting had any increase in the number of providers who are now eligible to insert this device. Number two, I want to know about the pivotal trial that should be starting by the end of the year. If you are not familiar with what I'm talking about, we're going to turn back to the earnings call transcript from Q2 that happened back in August of 2022. One of the questioners had asked about the 365-day system and some of the data that was coming out that had actually been presented back in June at the American Diabetes Association meeting. He was wondering if the sensor design was complete and were there still some modifications that we made before they submit an IDE. IDE stands for Investigational Device Exemption. Before they can start a pivotal trial, they need an exemption from the Food and Drug Administration, the investigational device exemption. So Tim Goodnow's response was that actually they hadn't finished the final device specs. They were still incorporating some data coming out of Europe. But he did say, we do anticipate making the final call here and within this quarter, frankly, so that we can be prepared to start the clinical trial at the end of the year. So I want to know, has that investigational device exemption been received yet from the FDA so they can get that pivotal trial started by the end of the year? What's the status for the final specs on this 365-day device, and what is the status of the investigational device exemption? Another question that I have is, what is the status in terms of negotiating or talking with United Health Group? They are the big payer now who has not yet come on board in terms of reimbursement. So we want to know what's the status with United Health Group. Lastly, I want to know how the collaboration is going with Ascensia. The last conference call, they indicated that there were only 19 Ascensia salespersons within the United States who are marketing this device. That essentially is nothing. Just the state where I live in Tennessee probably could have 30 or 40 of these salespersons if they were really aggressively marketing this device. So I would like to know that they have more than 19. In fact, I would like it to be at least double or triple that, hopefully, by now. The last question that I have has to do with inventory. At the last earnings call, a questioner asked Tim Goodnow about the inventory and what did it look like. And really, it's only about 6 weeks of inventory that they are producing or keeping as a bit of a safety net there. 6 weeks is not very much, especially when you're not inserting very many devices. So I'm curious about inventory, and I'm curious about how many of these devices have actually been inserted in the United States and in the European Union. That's what I'm looking for out of the conference call. If this doesn't get mentioned in the prepared remarks, please, 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 those of you who get to call in and ask a question, pick these questions and make them known so that we as investors can get a better idea for how Senseonics is doing, how they're running their business. If any of this information was helpful for you, please give us a thumbs up. We need that for the channel, especially because, again, only about 1,000 of you are going to watch this video. And until next time, which will probably be in about 2 days when I recap what the earnings call sounded like for Q3. Until that time, enjoy your investing.